Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're doing really well. If you're wondering why I'm wearing exactly the same things as I was in my last video, I basically split these two videos in half because I talk all about the fact that Heidi has been diagnosed with a dairy intolerance and allergy in that video, and today I'm talking about everything else that has happened between the ages of 6 months to 7 months. Heidi turned 7 months old yesterday, and honestly, like, again, a pound for every time I say time goes so fast, but it has just whizzed by, and I can't believe that she's going to be one sooner than she was born, like, if that makes sense. Like, she's going to be one in a couple of months' time, and I know everyone says time goes so fast, but I don't think that you understand the extent of it until you have children and you watch them grow up and you think, you were just so tiny once before, and it feels like we've blinked and now we're suddenly here. So I'm going to jump straight into everything that's happened this month. If you want to hear about how she's developed a dairy allergy and the symptoms and everything like that, click back on my previous video because that explains everything, the whole process, the reasons why we went to the doctor, what they've said, and where we are now and the plan going forward. So definitely watch that one. But if you have watched that one or you would just want to skip past that, then let's go straight into it. So at 6 months old, we finally weighed Heidi again. I feel like it's been ages since we weighed her, which is quite bad, but I just feel like, I don't know why it took so long, to be honest, but she now weighed 16 pounds. She'll obviously weigh more than that now. We haven't weighed her just yet, but I think that I should start doing that as part of these monthly updates because that will probably be quite insightful. But at the beginning of 6 months, she weighed 16 pounds, and she's definitely moved on the percentile chart. She was 82 at 6 weeks, and I feel like she's moved down because she's more of an average height or average weight instead of being on the higher end of it, but I don't really understand how that all works. So yeah, she's 16 pounds, which still isn't double her birth weight just yet. She was 9 pounds 3 at birth. Yeah, 9'3". It's so bad, your memory. So it'd be weird when she's like double that weight because she's literally doubled in size since she's been born. But I touched on in my previous video, but we did go away for the first time in the past month. So we went to Torquay in Devon. We went for 2 nights with Rich's family as part of his dad's 60th birthday celebrations, which was so much fun. You know what, it was so nice. Like, Torquay isn't too far away from us, but it's enough that you felt like you were really away from everything. It was a real change of environment. It was lovely spending time with everyone, and we had so much fun. Heidi had such a great time, especially with her biggest cousin. He is so good with Heidi, and it's those like moments and those family moments that just make you so happy that you have children. I remember saying to Rich like years ago when we would do things kind of like that as a family, that I can't wait to have our own child and let them experience it, and suddenly that was us with Heidi, and it was so lovely. Although travelling with a newborn or even 6-month-old, we had to take so much stuff. I felt like me and Rich had a pretty good sized car, and so we packed everything that we needed for Heidi for the 2 nights. It was jam-packed, I can't even tell you. So it was crazy how much we needed to take, but yeah, we went away. It was so nice. Heidi was good as gold. We had a bit of bowel problems on the Saturday, which is why I decided to go to doctors, and she was diagnosed with a dairy allergy. But again, I speak so much more about that in my previous video, so I don't really want to dwell on that. Going away was lovely. We had such a nice time, and then those days we took the travel cot with us because if you didn't know, Heidi was sleeping in a travel cot in our bedroom because she outgrew her Moses basket very quickly. So she was in that. We took that away with us, and then when we came back, she started sleeping in her own room, which I tell you what, her sleeping in her own room was such a big deal for me because I've kind of told you so many times, but Rich works overnight time, so at night I am often on my own at home, and I just miss hearing Heidi snore and all of her noises and just making sure she's breathing. I'm definitely way more paranoid when she's asleep, so when she is asleep, I just want to make sure that she's okay. And she has a habit now of like flipping all over the joint, and it's just like very scary for me. I know she's okay. We have a really good baby monitor, which I'm actually going to do a video about because it was so cheap, and it's another like really good Amazon find. So that's really good, and I get a lot of reassurance. We have a camera one because I'm just so paranoid. But yeah, it was really emotional for me to move her into her own room. It was the right time, and for her it was the right time, but I just would have kept her in my room forever if I had my chance. But with that, on the first night, so bearing in mind we had been travelling all kind of day. We'd had a busy couple of days with Rich's family, and you know, it was very full on. We made the most of it every day, which was so good. But when we got back, you know, when you just want like a good night's sleep, Heidi had other plans. So the first night she actually woke up at 3:45 in the morning. I got up with her, tried to soothe her, it didn't work. Tried to rock her back. I didn't want to take her out of the bedroom too much because I wanted her to get used to it. But she'd woken up unfamiliar where she was, and she obviously just really started crying. Because I didn't take her away from the environment, she got really, really worked up. So I was up with her from 3:45 to 4:30, and then at that point Rich woke up, took over from me because I was struggling. But he got up with her and just gave her another bottle, came downstairs and let her sleep on the sofa. So the first night was not a success, but the second night she actually slept right through. So I think it was just down to the fact that she had gone from being in our bedroom to being in the apartment we stayed at for 2 nights and being in her own room. She was like, where am I now? So yeah, she's very disorientated and she just needed a bit of comfort, a bit of cuddles. But it like wasn't what we needed that first night when we got back. And then, but second night she's been absolutely fine, and since then on she's slept through most nights. The only problem is now that she's in her cot is that with the travel cot it was mesh sides, so if she rolled over she'd bounce back onto herself basically. But with the cot obviously it's wooden and she keeps hitting her head, and I know like we can't get any bumpers and we don't want to get the bumpers because they're such a like breathing hazard and choking hazard because they're not breathable, but she does wake herself up quite a lot by turning and hitting her head. So I'm hoping that in time that she understands the diameters of the cot and that by doing that she's going to hurt herself. But she does do that, or she's done that a couple of times and woken herself up, and either I've managed to get her back to sleep or she's come into bed with me and we've actually co-slept, which wasn't something I ever wanted to do, anything that I never like intended to co-sleep or not, but sometimes in that moment it's just like the best thing to do. For her, she gets the comfort of knowing that she's with me. I am a very light sleeper, so I wake up to literally anything and anything, so her being in bed with me isn't a problem. I would never do it after I like drank alcohol and I don't smoke or anything like that, so it's not a problem. But I think sometimes she just needs that, and I love it too, I can't lie. It's like so nice, but I would never have done it when she was any smaller, but now she's at the age where I feel comfortable with her being next to me. So if she's hurt herself and I know that she's crying in pain, sometimes she needs that, and if she's in my bed she goes back to sleep literally within like a minute. So it absolutely works, and sometimes you just need to do what's best for you. The next thing to do with her being in her cot is that she won't self-settle in there at all. So when she was younger, we used to get her to self-settle by putting a star projector on at night, and I would put her down when she was awake. I'd put the stars on and I'd kind of go to the toilet, never too far. I'd come back and she was asleep. But now she's in her cot, she will not do that, and she really will scream if she's left in there. So it's not a case of putting her down and letting her kind of roll over a bit and be awake until she falls asleep. She'll be put down, almost feel like she's been left alone and just cry so much. So please send me any tips or anything to help her self-settle, because that's definitely the next thing that we need to do, because her falling asleep downstairs with a bottle in her mouth is not a good habit, and I know that. But we've tried to break away from that and not had much success. So if there's any tips that you guys have followed or any advice, please do let me know. I'm asking for advice because I just don't know what to do, and seeing her so upset, I don't like the idea of her letting her cry it out. So yeah, let me know. So talking of naps, this one has just woken up, haven't you? The next thing to mention is that she's so close to crawling. She literally like goes on all fours and like rocks like front to back, and all she needs to do is move her hands and she'll crawl. So she moves her legs in like the crawling position, but then just topples over herself because she doesn't move her hands in time. So I really think that's going to be soon. I really thought she'd be moving sooner, but then I don't really know what to expect because obviously she's my first child, but she's had such an interest in moving. So yeah, I don't think it'll be long, and I really think that in my next update I'll be telling you that she's crawled and hopefully including little videos. But it's weird to think like milestones are about to happen, and literally every time we put her on the floor and she tries to crawl, I'm always like, is this going to be the time? Is this going to be the time? So it's really exciting seeing them grow and develop. But yeah, next time I think that I'll be saying that she's crawling. So we still have no teeth as well. Can you believe it? I think at like 3 months old I was like, she's going to have a tooth through. But yeah, she's still teething. She's almost more unsettled, so like she just woke up from that nap and she was really kind of, you can tell she's a little bit in pain. So I've just given her some wafer to just chew on whilst I'm finishing up this video, and it's relief for her teeth. There's still the little bumps, you can feel like hardness as she like bites down on your finger when we're applying teething gel, but there's no sharpness yet. So again, I just don't know when to expect that. I thought that was going to be ages ago. And like even my dad said, if she had her first tooth broke through like 6 weeks ago, you'd have expected it. But now it's like, come on, like how long does it take? I'm really surprised she doesn't have any yet. But with teething, we've literally stocked up on so much teething gel, and I think I'm going to be sick of the sight of the Dentinox teething gel soon, but we've just had to buy it in bulk because we live in such a small little town that if someone doesn't have it, they just don't have it. So we've just literally stocked up on so much. So hopefully she's going to be good for a little while. That should last us a good while. But yeah, we just basically emptied the shelf of teething gel because she just is in so much pain. And when she cries and we put teething gel on her, she instantly stops as well. So it definitely is teething. And we've bought all different types of teething, like toys that she will chew on, and we'll put teething gel on. We're just experimenting, finding what works best for her. But I'm just so surprised there's no teeth yet. And the last thing for Heidi is that she is still very clingy. Again, I think it is to do with the age. Now she's 7 months old. She recognises people. She knows who me and Rich are. She's obviously not saying mama or dada just yet, but she knows who we are. She knows who her family is as well. So Rich's mum, Rich's sister, people that she's seen very often, and also like my mum and dad who are over literally all the time. So she definitely recognises people, but I feel like in instances where me and Rich go away, she can be quite clingy. But that said, the beginning of the month, so like when she was like 6 months just turned onwards, but like the first 2 weeks she was very clingy. I feel like it's beginning to phase out slightly because on last Saturday I went on a hen do, which was so much fun. It wasn't like going out and getting too drunk. I mean, I still got drunk, but it was just a meal. And I went with Rich's family and it was really lovely. And me and Rich's sister, whenever we get together, there's just always Prosecco involved. And we drank 2 bottles between the two of us, so equivalent to a bottle each. And I definitely felt it when I got home. But my mum and dad came over and looked after Heidi whilst I went out because Rich was working, and they managed to put her to bed. She did wake up literally when I got through the door. I think she sensed it, and so I had to parent under the influence, but she was absolutely fine. She went back to sleep very quickly, but she was surprisingly better than I thought she'd be. That was my worry, and I was like thinking, if I go and she doesn't sleep, it won't be fair for my mum and dad, but she was actually fine. They said that they managed to get her to sleep basically dead on her bedtime. So yeah, I think it's a phase. I think it's to do with their leap and then they move away from it, but I don't understand enough about leaps to say whether that's true or not. So next 2 things are to do with me. There's not much to talk about from me because I feel like the further away you get from giving birth, the less it changes with you. So much changed the first couple of months, but now everything's basically settled down. I'm back to my pre-pregnancy weight as well. It's just your body changes. So whilst I might weigh lighter, my body is still very weird and I still have weight to lose, especially around my stomach. But the 2 things I really wanted to talk about were to do with going back to work. Heidi is getting very excited because she knows I'm about to do her lunch. So the first thing is that the reality of going back to work in a couple months' time is really kicking in. I'm not letting it affect my time off because it's not that I'm dreading it, because I like where I work, I like the people I work with, so that as itself is not the problem. I feel like what's going to be the hardest thing for me is going from having all this time off. So it's going from that to going back in the flow of going back to work. I haven't yet talked to my work about how I'm going to go back. I have some ideas. I don't know whether they're going to agree with them. So we'll see how that happens. But my ideal plan would be to go back for 4 days a week instead of 5, but doing full shifts, because at the end of the day, it's money. Like, if money wasn't a problem, then who knows what I'd do. But that would be my ideal situation. But again, in my next update, I'll be able to talk about what we decide on, because I'm going to speak to them at the beginning of next month. But there is already that dread of being away from her already settling in, so I don't know what it's going to be like when I go back. So we've sorted out when I do go back to work, however that might be, childcare for Heidi. So the plan will be that instead of putting her through a nursery or like a childminder, Richard's mum doesn't work, so we're going to pay her to have Heidi, because it'll be much cheaper than a nursery. It'll be mutually like beneficial. She'll get time with Heidi and Heidi will get time with her nana. So that's the plan. Again, we don't know how that's 100% going to work in terms of how my work wants me back. So that's definitely a conversation for like my next update, and I'll talk you through exactly the plan. But I feel like when you first go off, the thought of going back is so distant, you don't really think about it. But now I'm like beyond halfway through my maternity leave, I am beginning to think about it, and so I'm gonna go off and do Heidi some lunch. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you have. Don't forget to subscribe down below so you don't miss any of our other monthly updates, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.